Hello and welcome. I'm Thomas. This is channel called Wonder of Existence. This time I remember what the channel name is. I'm so glad it took me only, I think, three months to memorize it. Anyway, today's topic is incarnation. Reincarnation. Which is also related to another aspect, which is karma. And we thought that perhaps this time we can utilize maybe 1 or 2 hours to talk about this major topic. As always, I've got a mic and Geert with me. I'm so glad to have you here. Without you, it wouldn't be as it is. I cannot imagine doing it myself. So thank you very much for being here. But coming back to the topic. So, reincarnation. This is not normally part of West European religions. It comes more from the East. But the fact is that lots of us have heard about reincarnation and the karma, and I thought that this might be really great to talk about it. So let's kick it off with Geert. I know that Geert got his view on it, and I want to hear something more from you. So let's kick it off.
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's a good thing to start with the moment you met the thought, or otherwise the thought met you. Because I always like a little bit of story about it. And for me, it was when I was 19 years old. So that was, I think, the beginning of the 70s, and I really was enthusiastic about that thought because I was educated in a strictly Protestant church surrounding from a family. So that was not a thought. The thought was, for me, very egoistic. You live your life, you try to be very good, and then you come in heaven and there is the eternal life. I think eternal is not the word eeuwig in Dutch. It means more, has more meanings. Eternal is really as a time, and this is, I think, this in the Dutch translation of eternal. This has more meaning, but that's a different topic maybe. And for me, as a 19-year-old guy, was really opening up. Well, this is really great. This is a thought. Why not? This is, and I talked with my friends about it, and I know that one time it was 2:00 in the night in the center of the village where we were. We were at the pub. Had been at the pub, and then had some. Well, it was nice temperature, so we sat in the center under a tree, and then I told him about my new thought, the reincarnation, and he got really mad because he was an atheist, and he thought, well, I just decided to be an atheist for a few years, and now there's coming a new thought. And I told him, well, don't believe it, but just look at the thought. It's not more logical or more illogical than the thought there is only one time to be born and then have eternal life, or as you think, there's only one time to be born and then it's finished. You don't know that it's finished. You don't know. Well, it was the first time I met the difficulty that people really got mad on a thought like this. But for me, it was, well, I was so enthusiastic for that thought to overthink that I read more books about it. So that's my introduction to this thought. And maybe when people in my career as a teacher, I met several parents who had problems with their children. And the last, I think, 15 years, I always mention my view on it. That well, why do you bother about this? Maybe is your quality as a father or mother bad, but if you just try to think, not to believe, but just think the thought that maybe your child has chosen your problems to learn of it. It makes so a difference. So don't believe it, but just think the thought, and what it differs then, and then you see, well, okay, well then it's really another perspective on your problem with your child, and people are really a big relief it can be. There are not many people anymore in these times that only are getting mad, as it was 45 years ago. They really got mad if I told them this. So, well, that's my use it as a thought first before being or think that you must believe it or not. It's not important if you believe it. Just try to see the different
perspective.
Yeah, and see the consequences of it. That's what I like about the thought that you were maybe born for several times to learn of it, to come. Some part of you has to learn of it. Not all of you. Well, I think the body is. You can see the body as only an old coat. You hang it on the. In the end of your life, you hang it somewhere on the cemetery, and part of you goes on and are looking for a new coat, and maybe it lasts 800 years, maybe it lasts 50 years, I don't know. But well, that's the way you are always looking for a new coat. So the physical body is then not too important anymore.
Yeah, it's just a temporary vehicle.
Vehicle, exact.
And if it's not important, then neither is the other events of your life while you're wearing this coat.
Yeah.
You can look at it like that. You know, you can say, well, okay, nothing is too serious to get so upset about. It's just temporary.
Yeah. And the difference is also you chose for the problems you have with your body or the physical things that are complex. And that's very different than when you only complain. Well, you have a good body, you're healthy, and I am suffering with this and with that. And realize there is a possibility to learn with my problems. And why is a problem a negative thing? And a good health. I've seen lots of moments that good health and being very beautiful as a human being can be very negative. So those are possibilities to look at yourself, and not only for I can do this in other life, because laziness is not maybe this is the only moment you can exercise this. That's what I think about this life. So it is important too, but you have to take it all.
When I look at this, it gives me a bit of relief, because we always put such a tremendous pressure on our physical body. Like this is the only thing we have to hold on to. When you start thinking about reincarnation and considering it as something that it might be real, then you start thinking, okay, it's just a temporary vehicle, which means that it's still important for me for this temporary life, physical life. But if I die, I just die physically. I still exist. Especially when my father died, I realized that something has changed in me. I just realized that he's not gone. He's gone physically, but he's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very comfortable to think like that. And this is the only area which I am afraid of in terms of the religions, because if we believe that reincarnation exists, and some religion taking into consideration as part of the plan of this religion, that it might be the case that people simply tend to believe in something because it gives them comfortable zone.
Yeah.
So this is my only issue with that, because whatever gives me discomfort, or not me, but in general to humans, something gives the human a comfort zone, people tend to stick to that, right? So I know that some people claim that reincarnation is just the imagination. Some people think like, it's a wishful thinking.
Yeah.
You just want to have it like that because it gives you comfort zone, nothing else. But
part of it is it, maybe.
But it might be, and obviously we don't know, so we're only speculating here. But anyway, when my father died, I realized I got this thing like, okay, he's gone physically here. I got this morning period of time when I was really sad about the fact, but then sort of at some point I woke up in the morning and thinking like, okay, he's gone physically, he's still there, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be in touch with him again. But once again, some people, I'm pretty sure that our viewers might say at some point, one of those people might say, okay, you just wish this to happen. Obviously, we don't know, we speculate.
You can use that argument with everything. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation, but you are religious, you believe in one God, one heaven and all that, well, that's a comforting thing as well, you know?
Correct.
And if you're an atheist, which is not atheist.
Yeah? Okay, sorry.
If you're an atheist, well, what better way to resolve all the problems when if you know you're going to die and that's the end of it? So you're not even going to remember what you did on this earth. You know, there's no follow-up. You can mess this life up, you can do what the hell you want, and then there's no follow-up at the end. There's nothing to be responsible for. And, well, that's an easy take on it as well. Aren't we all trying to make things easy for ourselves?
So I mentioned the three basic thoughts: a religion thought with one life, one heaven, and you have the atheist. I won't use that word anymore. The non-God figures, and you have the reincarnation thought as a basic thing, and nobody knows. Also, the non-God figures, they don't know if it's true what they think. No. You can't know. So everybody, this problem everyone has.
That's correct.
What was the first moment you met this thought, or the thought met you?
The reincarnation.
Yes. Because in Poland it's not, in the communistic system it's not useful.
No, that wasn't a part at all. I mean, even religion itself was sort of narrowed down to some element of the life, not important, and the communistic party was fighting against the church, and church with John Paul II was fighting against the communism. So there were two forces fighting between each other, but let's put that aside. Reincarnation. I think that I started to read about it in one of the books, but I can't recall the name of this book. But one of the books was treating about the fact that perhaps we might exist in several times. And I started to read this book. I think that was, the author was the Polish author. I remember. That was the Polish author making the stories, actually, making books, science fiction books. But that was the element of the science fiction book. And I started to read about it as a story, as a part of the story of the book. Yeah. And then I was like, hold on, but that makes sense. So I started to be more and more...
You just put out a thought.
Yeah, so that was a trigger. And then I remember I asked my father like what he thinks about this book, because he read that as well. And he said like, that's quite possible, because actually we got the religions following that way of thinking. And then he told me, there's this and that. And I was I don't know, I was a teenager, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe 12, 15 years old, something like that. And then he told me about the Buddhism, for example. And I was fascinated, but at the same time, I didn't know what to think about it, because Christianity in Poland was such a strong religion movement that I couldn't basically simply switch
Yeah.
Although I didn't know even if I want to switch, because I was in my sort of waking up process, and I was thinking like, hold on, if I switch to that, it's like switching the one coffee machine to another coffee machine. But I want to have different tastes, so maybe I should be going somewhere else. So I was just basically picking up all kind of things and trying to explore the reality and then probably analyze that. And obviously that happened later on. So that's how it started with me. But Mike, how did it happen with you?
That's really interesting to think about, isn't it? Because I can't remember. It's not in terms of reincarnation. The idea of you die, you come back, you die, you come back. At 14, and I mentioned this in other videos, I read Richard Bach's Jonathan Livingston's Seagull. And in that, the seagull dies and comes back. And he has many lives, and he also has many different levels of lives and different dimensions. So he moves upwards, and so he dies. He moves into another dimension, a higher dimension, and he lives a life there. But also in that, he's told by an upper seagull that if he wasn't so advanced in his awareness and spirituality and learning his lessons, he might have been just like the other seagulls on the beach, who take hundreds and sometimes thousands of lifetimes before they get that little spark to say there's something more than just sitting on the beach and going out to the fishing boat and coming back and sitting on the beach. And so that sort of introduced me to it, but I because it was so easy for me to accept that, so matter of fact, I must have had some concept of reincarnation beforehand, because this wasn't a revelation of, oh, that's what it's about, that's how it is. No, it was a recognition of, finally, somebody's talking about what I already believe in. That was a sort of recognition. I recognised this. Yeah. It wasn't a revelation, it was a recognition. So somewhere before my 14th, when I read that book, somewhere before then...
You already got that.
I had already had that, although I don't ever remember anybody, not in the school, not in the church, not in my family, talking about reincarnation. Maybe I picked it up also from science fiction books. I read a lot of science fiction before then as well. I really don't know, but it's always been with me. And the moment I read that book and saw it laid out with the sort of idea that you can come back to this life and again until you learn your lesson that you came for, and then you move on to another life and then another life higher than that, another life higher than that. So many different. I think there's 7 different levels. But each one you can live thousands of lives in if you don't make it to the next level. And but it was all so clear to me that that's how it was. I surprised myself that I took that book so easily, and it's sort of recognition. Oh yeah. Finally, somebody who says how it is. I don't know it, but before then, I can't answer it.
And you said that was more or less about when you was about 14.
I was 14 when I read the book, yeah, and it just opened that sort of solidified my underlying belief anyway. But where that belief came from, I'm not really sure. I think it was more a development. Maybe I'd heard here, I heard something there, I heard something there, and I picked up on it because I was so convinced that the narrative from the church and from the school wasn't what it was. Interesting to think about.
Especially if we look at the specifics of the Western European religions, there's nothing about reincarnation whatsoever. At least if we're talking about the recent Bible. If we go back in time, you can find some traces of people changing actually the Bible and trying to adjust it to their own needs. So I'm not suggesting that the Bible is not telling the truth, if we can say that even. But I'm trying to say that whatever we read in the Bible these days might be quite different to how it used to be initially created. But that's another topic. We're not going to go that direction, and we don't want to go even religion direction. That's not the point. We're just mentioning about religions as part of our culture, about a part of our lives, right? But let's go to the core of reincarnation. If you listen to any kind of hypnotic regression sessions, you can see that people, many or if not majority of people, claim to say that they've been here for hundreds, if not thousands of times. So I'm talking about reincarnation process taking place hundreds of or thousands of times. That's quite a lot, don't you think? So we've got, let's say, Christianity saying, no, you just live once and then you die and that's it. You're done. You sit comfortably with the God and enjoying the never-ending happiness. That's how it's basically described, right? There'll be nothing bad happening to you. It's only good things gonna to happen to you. Sort of similar story goes with Muslims. If you look at that, it's quite similar. Actually, if you go to the roots, Muslim is related to Christianity very much from the very beginning.
Because they accept the book of one God, so the Old Testament. Yeah.
So, but once again, that's not my direction. The one I said, I don't want to go the religion direction. What I want to say is all those regression sessions and people taking part in those, they say or they claim that I've been Mark, I've been Henry, I've been this and that, and they can go and go, they can go and on for hundreds, if not thousands of times. The stories, some people even claim that it's not only related to this physical planet. They claim that they were born in a different planet or even in a different shape, not a human shape. But that's yet another story to talk about, maybe later. But I want to park here and just ask you a question, maybe to Mike. What do you think? What would be the purpose? Taking into consideration that reincarnation might be the case or might be real, then what would be the case? What would be the point of coming here, dying, coming here and dying? How do you see that?
I used to follow the premise of karma, and I'll take it, correct me here if I'm wrong. Karma is a balance of cause and effect or something, isn't it? So if you do something bad in your life, you pay for it here. If you do something good, you get next points here, that sort of thing. It's to balance some kind of good and evil. That's how I've understood it, and every new life is an opportunity to
balance it back.
To balance it back for any mistakes you might have made in the past. What I'm opposed to is again this even a spiritual view that places blame and penance and retribution on you. So you're here to make up for something because you haven't lived a good life beforehand, or you've done some harm, or you just haven't gained enough points to get to a higher level. That's my problem with karma. When we talk about you're here to I can understand the idea of learning and developing and getting experiences to get different lessons, and also more experiences in good and bad, and victim, perpetrator. You could you would have a wider understanding, a great empathy of the whole.
But the problem
is the karma, and it's almost like, you're a sinner, and you've got to say you go to confession, say your penance, and then you're allowed into heaven. Well, karma's not much different. 100 lives before you learn your lesson. Then we'll allow you to go up to the next level, and that sort of thing really turns me off. Now, I tend to move towards the idea that we have total free will right across the board as a spirit, and we choose it for whatever experience we want. So we're not forced to come back here. We chose to come back here, or we choose to come back here again and again and again. Why? Because it's fun, and we can just have lots of different experiences, and it's a way of experiencing certainly the physical realm. You can experience things that you can't experience in less physical situations. So we can use that analogy like a game, and you come back because you enjoy playing the game, and some experiences feel easy and good and pleasurable here, and some experiences don't. But from another perspective, maybe it's good to feel the bad here, because you learn something from it, you understand the good better because you've experienced the bad, and from your spiritual perspective, you haven't suffered. All you've done is play the game. It's like watching a movie that scares you. You know you're going to be scared, but you don't turn the TV off, or you don't turn the film off, you don't walk out. You want to be. Why would anybody want to be scared? Why would anybody want to experience sadness by watching a bad movie or a sad movie or reading a sad book and everything? Why? Because it enriches your experience of what it is to be human. And I think that's more what it is. We have free will, and we choose it for our own ends. And what you were saying before about how did you put that now? About not putting off some things till the next life because you won't have this particular situation again. I understand that, but I think more, why not? Why don't you come back and have exactly the same life again? And maybe if you're not ready in this life to deal with that sort of thing, you might have set it up for yourself and then realise, I'm not quite there yet, so I'm going to procrastinate in this life and do it in the next one. You have that free will even here to say, I'm not going to even follow my lessons. And again, I don't know, but that's where my belief system lies, and that we're here, and the purpose of reincarnation is just to come back because it's fun.
But that leads me to the point which I want to discuss maybe in the next in the next program, which is why are you unconscious once you back to your physical reality again? Why you are not conscious about your past? You just like a blank piece of paper.
Yeah, well,
let's kick it off.
River of forgetting.
Yeah, let's kick it off as the next one. So, but thank you very much for now. I know it's a massive topic and we need more time, but we're going to talk about it in the next one. Thank you very much, and see you next time.